Welcome back. All right, so we're going to do a quick sort of overview of the class and a sort of a PowerPoint snip version of what our course space looks like. So here we go. Okay, so we start out in our course homepage. The homepage gives you a brief overview of the course and basically talks about the learning objectives. There's some information from the university on tips for success and sort of just a welcome to the class. Not too much here, but you will want to carefully read the material. Okay, so a very brief overview of the coursework and goals. I know that you can read this stuff for yourself, so I'm not going to read it all to you. However, what we're basically doing here is we're focusing on developing a clear understanding of best practices for crisis communication. So rather than read a book and take quizzes and what have you, the course is designed to have you actually build a crisis communication plan for an organization of your choice. So I understand that many of you are already working for organizations, and if you are, and you can get permission from the powers that be, all the better to do your crisis communication plan for that organization. That's basically what I did. I was working on my master's when I was at Suzuki, and that's how our crisis communication plan actually was built. To develop the plan, you are going to work through a series of 12 lessons. Each lesson includes readings, and the readings are by and large things that are publicly available out there on the web. So in each lesson space, you'll have a link to the material that you need to go read. We will also have a series of research activities in which you'll go out and actually locate for yourself, either through the library or through other sources, good quality information about various aspects of crisis communication planning. Or you will be writing some kind of element that will go into your final crisis communication plan. And for ease of talking about this thing, a lot of times in the course you'll see CCP, and that's what that stands for, Crisis Communication Plan. In order to maximize learning, because we have discovered through research that people learn best when they are engaged with other people, we have a number of activities that involve providing feedback to your peers. For the research activity, you will provide some commentary. So if I posted an article about some aspect of crisis plans, then you would read my article and then you would comment on it. Well, that sounds like a really good idea, but I'm not sure how you would implement this. Those of you who are already professionals working out in the field might have particular insights based on the particular field that you're in, so you could perhaps extend that conversation by saying, well, you know, in my experience, this works best, or here's how we do it where I'm working. And we'll also, for the writing product, give you an opportunity to provide commentary, basically peer review. So if you're looking at somebody's list of important stakeholders and you notice that they've left out a whole category of people, you might bring that up and give some suggestions. So all of the activity, the research activity, the writing product, the commentary, and the peer review are all submitted in the course through the discussion board link that you'll see when we get there in a minute. Hang tight. All right, so as you can see, the navigation bar that's on the left-hand side of our course homepage basically has all of the information that you need to be able to very easily navigate through the course. So we start, anytime that you log in, you're automatically taken to the course homepage. After the course homepage, we have a link to go to the syllabus, and I do recommend that you read that very, very carefully. Because that's how you find out what the course policies are. I have quite a strict policy on late submissions, and being late can really hurt you in this class. So don't find out the hard way that you missed a deadline and then come back to me later and say, hey, I'm hoping that I can get an excuse for being 3 days late, because that does not happen in this class. After the syllabus, there is, in fact, a course schedule, and I highly recommend that you print this sucker out or that you download all the deadlines to your calendar so that you have a very clear sense of what is due where. And following that link, we have a link to the discussion board, which, as I said earlier, is a place where you're going to be submitting all of your work and engaging in all of your conversation with your peers. Down below that section, we just basically have a list of lessons, and you'll work your way through the lessons, one lesson a week. When we get down to lesson 11, it's a short week with a very brief activity, and then you can launch into the work that you need to do to finalize your crisis communication plan. So you have basically a week and a half to do that last module. Okay, so as I mentioned a moment ago, one of the links on the navigation bar does take you directly to the schedule, and this is the document that you'll use to organize yourself, and this is the place where you'll go to find out where all of the course materials are and exactly what is due each week. Now, in this course, it's a little bit confusing schedule-wise because we have a number of activities that need to take place in the course of a lesson. So, for example, many weeks you're going to have some reading to do, or you're going to be watching some video, and after that you're going to have a research activity. And research activities are typically due on Tuesdays of a lesson week, which runs from Monday to Sunday, 11:59 p.m. So you're going to do your research activity and post some stuff, and the deadline for that work is Tuesday. And then you have 2 days to get in and post some commentary on those readings, and there are very explicit instructions about how to go about providing feedback, what it is that I'm looking for, who you're allowed to submit feedback to. Once we have finished the research activity and commentary for the week, then you'll often have a writing product, and the writing product is typically due on Fridays. And so you'll turn in your writing product, and then you'll have between Friday and Sunday to provide the peer review on the writing product. So what that means, practically speaking, for this class is that you should expect to be in the course space several times during the week. This is not the kind of class where you can log in on Saturday afternoon and do the entire week's module. It's the way the course was developed and set up, and if you don't keep up with those deadlines, what happens is that other people in the class don't have anyone to provide feedback to, and that damages their ability to do the work. So we're all going to be in the course space throughout the week. Typically, you should be able to do your reading on Monday and Tuesday, get your research materials posted on Tuesday, have a couple days to get in and do that commentary, but at the same time you can be working then on the item that's due on Friday. Now, having said that you need to be in all week, that doesn't mean that you can't work ahead to the extent that there are people who are also working ahead. So I'm looking at the roster right now. It's looking like we have maybe a dozen students. So if everybody's uber motivated and you all get in on Saturday afternoon or Sunday afternoon for next week's module and get to work, that's fine with me. But there's not a mechanism for accommodating late work. So that's the schedule. Again, I would print it out so that you have it. You'll notice maybe you can see on this slide, I realize it's probably a bit small, but you also see the hyperlinks that go to some of the videos and some of the readings here. You'll also find those materials and actually links to all of the readings once we get into the lesson pages. All right, so obviously you made it to lesson 0 because you're watching this video, and you're going to just continue from here. So lesson 0 actually takes place during week 1, and so does lesson 1. So as soon as you finish here, you need to launch right into the lesson 1 work. Each one of the lesson pages opens up. It's a single page. You get a brief overview of the content, and then there's a to-do list. There are typically some items to read, some items to watch, and then some sort of discussion, writing, research activity. And so you would do your reading, you would go watch your video, and then you would read what you need to be doing in the discussion, and then you would return to the navigation bar, clicking the discussion board link to actually get in there and find the corresponding lesson activity. So continuing on, this is, again, very small, but I'm just trying to give you a sense of what you'll see when you go into the discussion board. So all of the lesson activities are listed in order in the discussion board. So you would simply scroll down until you find the particular activity that you're working on. So this one happens to say Writing Product 1, CCP, and it gives you very explicit instructions as to exactly what you need to do and exactly how the process continues. So you would just go in, you would click, you would create a new thread for the material that you're going to post. And once you've done that, you'll see that there will be many students with many threads that you can then look at to provide your primary and secondary feedback. Okay, so the last thing I want to just highlight is the remainder of the left-hand navigation bar, the area below the lessons. And this is where you would go to basically get 3 different types of access. The first is the grade book. So you can click the My Grades link to track grading on the various materials that you submit. Please note that I do typically provide grading comments, so if you see a little thought bubble, go ahead and click on it so that you can get really specific feedback from me. I also tend to do at least some editing directly into documents, so if I attach a document, it would probably be worth opening it up, making sure that you're able to see all comments, and that will allow you to track any kind of changes or comments that I've made to your document. The second link there is for Course Tool. That will take you to a place where you can, for example, email another student in the class. I think there's a course calendar, some other sort of basic tools that are available there for you. And then the final section is the BB Help section. This is where you would go to get information on how to accomplish something within BB Learn. So, for example, you might have a question about how to navigate the discussion board, and this would be the place you could go. You can either look at student videos or text help. You can look at faculty videos probably also, but they're probably not likely to be terribly helpful for you. As far as the interaction goes, I will be on the discussion boards some of the time, but frankly, I'm going to allow you guys to provide the lion's share of feedback to one another, and I will be focusing on providing my very targeted feedback as I grade the various elements of the course. Otherwise, I will make every effort to provide you with feedback on your classwork within a reasonable period of time. Generally, I will respond to emails within 24 hours on the weekdays and within 48 hours on the weekends. Generally, it takes me up to a week to complete grading, although sometimes I finish earlier. I have requested a virtual mentor for our course. I don't know if we will have a virtual mentor yet, but if we do, you'd be able to contact the virtual mentor to ask those kinds of technical, how do I navigate an online course questions, and you would do that by clicking the virtual mentor link within the discussion board. Speaking of the discussion board, it makes a lot of sense to go ahead and subscribe to the various discussions. While this might fill your student email inbox with a lot of email messages, it will also help you ensure that you're getting any feedback that people are providing to you in as timely a manner as possible. So that'll just kind of help you stay engaged with the course as we go along. So I think that's about everything that I have to say right now. I am looking forward to spending the next 12 weeks with all of you. And again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to email or post a link in the Ask the Instructor section of the discussion board. It's been a privilege to get this show on the road, so now let's get going by moving on to Lesson 1.